welcome back to Happy Bake Day, where every day is a happy bake day. I hope your chicken tamale pie turned out delicious. If you missed that special episode for Dia de los Muertos, you can check it out right here. Today we're going to be making apple cider mini pastry tarts that are going to be fabulous. I mean, who doesn't love apple cider in the fall? For that, you're going to need the following ingredients. 2 boxes of pre-made pie crust, 1 batch of apple cider syrup, 2 to 3 Granny Smith apples thinly sliced, half a cup of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 egg, and sugar sprinkles or powdered sugar, which are completely optional for topping at the end. Like I mentioned, we will need 1 batch of apple cider syrup. I made mine ahead of time. It does take a couple of hours for the apple cider to completely reduce down into a syrup. That will take 1 gallon of apple cider and 3 whole cinnamon sticks. I put it in a large pot on my stove and I let it cook down for about 3.5–4 hours, and I got this really beautiful dark brown caramel syrupy deliciousness here that I've had sitting in my refrigerator overnight, and we will be using it here in our recipe today. Our first step is to preheat our oven to 350 degrees. The next step is to roll out our pie crust. I do have a rolling pin with me, and then we're going to cut out the shapes for our mini tarts. I chose to get a little apple cookie cutter here. This is the largest one. I think it's about 3 or so inches, 3¼ inches big. You don't have to use an apple if you don't want to. You can use a circular cookie cutter as well, whichever you prefer. But I think since we're making apple tarts, I thought the apple shape would be fun. I did lightly flour my countertop here, so I'm going to roll the pie crusts out one at a time and cut out as many shapes as I can with my cookie cutter. Once I'm done with cutting out my shapes, I'm going to roll the dough into a ball and then roll it back out with my rolling pin and cut out more shapes. Basically, we want to try to use up as much of the dough as possible and cut out as many of the shapes as we can. Our next step is to combine our sugar and cinnamon together here in a large mixing bowl. You're then going to add in your apple slices. I have here a rubber spatula to toss the apple slices in our cinnamon sugar mixture. You want to try to make sure your slices are completely coated as evenly as possible. So it might take a couple of turns with your spatula, and once it's completely mixed up, just put it to the side and we're going to start filling our tarts. Our apple slices are completely coated. They look delicious. I have mine set aside here. The next step is to fill our tarts. I have pulled out a small spoon and my apple cider reduction syrup here. I'm going to spoon just a little bit of the syrup onto each of the pastries and then top with a couple apple slices. Next, I'm going to take my basting brush here and brush a small outline of egg around the edge of each of these pastries. Then I'm going to add just a teensy more bit of the syrup on top of my apples and cover the whole thing with another piece of pastry. You can use a fork to either crimp the edges of your pastry, or you can just lightly push down on it. Your egg will act as glue, so your pastry top should hopefully stay on all the way. Brush the top of all of these pastries with more of our egg wash. I do have a small paring knife that I'm going to cut 2 slits across the top. After that, I'm going to sprinkle some of my sugar sprinkles, and then these are going to be ready for baking. The last step here is to bake these in the oven. It has finished preheating to 350 degrees. You're going to bake them for anywhere between 20 to 25 minutes. I always caution you to start at that lower time mark first to check on them and see if they're ready to go. They should have a nice, beautiful golden brown colored crust at the top once they're ready. When they are ready, you could take them out of the oven and then place them on a wire rack for cooling. Our apple cider mini tarts are out of the oven. I have mine here cooling on a cooling rack. They smell absolutely delicious. They have a really beautiful golden brown crust across the top. And the sugar sprinkles, I used colored sugar sprinkles, have a really fun kind of confetti effect on the top, which is really cool. They did leak out of the sides a little bit. The apple cider syrup did, which is completely fine. And I did end up baking mine for close to 30 minutes, probably 27, 28 minutes, in order to fully cook all the way. I want to thank you for joining me today while we made our apple cider mini tarts. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you had fun with me today. I appreciate each and every single subscriber as you join me on this journey from baker to baker. Don't forget, you can also follow us on social media or visit our website for this and all of our other fun recipes. Until next time, I hope you have a very happy bake day.